Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be wrapping up all of the books that I read in the month of January. So, although January personally was not a great month, I did have a pretty good reading month. Maybe I was distracting myself by trying to dive into some other worlds. So I managed to do a reasonable amount of reading in January. I read 8 books, coming to a total of 4,175 pages. I will say that this is boosted by having finished Oathbringer in January when I read quite a lot of it in December. It would in theory be less than that, but that's what it shows on Goodreads, seeing as January is when I finished the book. 5 of the books were fantasy, 2 were romance, 1 was a horror. I had 2 5 stars, 3 4 stars, 2 3.5 stars and 1 2.5 star. So of these, 2 of them continued in a series, 4 of them were new series. Of these, I'm definitely continuing with 2. I'm definitely not continuing with 1, and 1 is on the fence. I'm going to see how I feel when the next book comes out, which puts my on the go at 27 series. Without much preamble, I will just dive into the books. I'll talk about the ones that I've already talked about in other videos first, and just to briefly mention them, and then dive into more full reviews of the other ones. So the first book I finished was Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. Finally finished it. I read this pretty much for 3 weeks in December. It took me a long time to read, but I did finally finish it at the beginning of January. I do have a full spoiler vlog up of this with me sharing my thoughts, theories, predictions, all the opinions of this book. It's like 50 minutes, so be prepared if you're going into it that you're in for the long haul. So I'm not really going to talk about this here, aside from I think this might be my favourite Stormlight book, which I think is a controversial opinion, but I think this one might be my favourite. I also have a video up on my channel talking about 2 new releases. So Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries by Heather Fawcett and The Daughters of Izdihar by Hadir Elsbey. So I do a full review of both of these books in that video if you're after more of my thoughts. I adored Emily Wilde. I adored this one. Like, this was like my favourite of the month, absolute standout book. We'll be recommending to everybody. I think, well, I don't think everybody should read this because I don't think everybody's going to love it, but I loved this. This was like the perfect book for me when I read it. It was cozy, it was romantic, the snarky banter between our characters. I really liked the magic and the lore with the fairies, the island setting. This just was excellent. Excellent. I was so immersed in this. I read like 200 pages in a day. I stayed up late to finish it. I couldn't put this book down, so it would strongly recommend it. This one I liked but didn't love. So that's where I stand with this one. But if you want more of my full thoughts outside of my gush, then check out that video. And now moving into books that I haven't really spoken about so far in any videos. Vish from Books with V and our friend Sam and myself started Slave for Sensation, which is the first book in the Side Changeling series. Our plan is to read this series by Nalini Singh over the course of 2023. We try and do like yearly buddy reads together, and this year we decided to pick Side Changeling because they're all relatively short books, but it's a longer series, so hopefully it should be able to last us the whole year. And so far that is going to continue to be the plan because we all enjoyed Slave to Sensation. I think I gave it like a 3.5 stars, so it wasn't like an absolute favourite, but I feel as though there's lots and lots of potential for the series. In this world you have Sai and you have Changeling. So Sai are these, I don't quite know how to describe them, they're like these humans that have been able to pretty much turn off all of their emotions, and so they're very, very methodical and cold, whereas Changelings are humans that can turn into different animals, shapeshifters, werewolves, as you will. And we follow 2 characters that come into contact, one of them being a Sai, one of them being a Changeling, and their relationship and their dynamics together as they try to uncover a murderer and who is murdering different Changeling women within their society. And I think it was a really great like introduction into the world. I'm really intrigued by like the world and the history with the Sai and the Changelings and the different magical creatures and what makes up their society. And I did like our main characters. I mean, I found them a little bit quick into the romance, but I did enjoy them. And I know that subsequent books follow side characters and their romantic pairings, but there is this like macro plot that goes through the whole series. So I'm really excited to keep going with it and see where it goes. And I did find it really fun. Like, I read it so quickly. I listened to the audiobook for it, and it was very, very enjoyable to read. There were definitely some steamy scenes. There was a moment when I was on the train and I was like, I really hope like my earphones do not fall out, or like my earphones stop working, because if this suddenly comes on loudspeaker, there's going to be some looks. I think it was a great start to the series, and fingers crossed it continues in the same vein and just gets better and better. One that I was not much of a fan of, and I'm really sad about it, like I wish I liked this, was A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This I went into after reading Emily Wilde, and I was like, I want something that's like gives me the same vibes. So I decided to go down the vibe of like remote island setting, that sort of fairy tale, whimsy, as opposed to going down the romance route, because I did have an option of going down like the cute romance, cute cozy vibes, but instead I was like, oh no, we'll try this, and I don't think it really paid off. I had hopes to really enjoy this, and I think there were definitely some elements in this that I really liked. Like I did end up enjoying the island setting, and I did end up liking the magic, but I found the characters a little bit insufferable. I would say that their relationship is very quick. I think I preferred the side characters in this to our main pairing, or our main two characters. I think that's because at the beginning of the book, our main character Jack is coming back to the island after spending many years away, training in music at the university on the mainland, and he is coming back following orders from the laird of the land, because there is an incident where girls are going missing. He comes back and he's instantly got this relationship with the laird's daughter. I mean, they knew each other as children, but it's just very, very quick, and I didn't really feel as though I ever got to know Adara, who is the female. That a lot of this was in Jack's perspective, but I actually wanted to know more about her and her feelings and her opinions, and it just didn't seem very believable because it was so quick. And I wasn't too much of a fan as well of the whole like mystery and plot and what was going on. It was a little bit obvious. I just really hoped for more. I really, really hoped for more because I thought I was going to enjoy this, but the vibes didn't make up for the lack of enjoyment that I had in the story. Like the vibes were good. The vibes with the setting, with the magic, they were good, but I felt as though the story dragged on and the vibes didn't make up for that. Like it wasn't enough. I do think the first half was probably stronger than the second half, but overall I was a little bit disappointed, and I won't be continuing on with this duology, unfortunately. And I'm quite sad about it. I wish this book was as good on the inside as the cover is pretty on the outside. I continued in Lore Olympus by reading volume 2 by Rachel Smith. This is a webcomic which is now being published in print. So I read the first volume last year when I did my Hades and Persephone vlog, which I can link if you want my thoughts on that one, and I actually think I preferred volume 2. I enjoy getting to know our characters a bit more and seeing where their story started going to. Maybe because as well we ended up with more perspectives in this, like we got to see the other gods. I enjoyed that, so that sort of fleshing out of the world and fleshing out of the characters and seeing them through other people's perspectives and seeing what was going on with the other gods, and just seeing their relationship not grow, because it's not really quite at the relationship stage yet, their friendship grow, and seeing where the angst and the drama is going to take us to. I was a little bit on the fence after reading book 1, like I liked it but I didn't love it, but I think this has cemented my feelings on the series, and I'm definitely going to be continuing on with this series. If you don't know, this is a Hades and Persephone retelling set in sort of a modern era, but you also have all of the other Greek gods around it. It is not just solely focused on their romance, although that is a part of the plot, but it also deals with some like heavier themes as well. But yeah, I do really like the art style in this, with this sort of the pinky blue themes that run through it. I mean, I really like those colours to begin with anyway. Like I think my favourite colours are like blue and purple. Having that as like the main colour theme through your art is just great because they're my favourite colours. We'll continue in this series. I'll just wait until they go on offer because this one was half price. I also read Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. This has sat on my shelves for quite a while, and this month I tried to channel just like fully mood reading. So I would sit in front of my shelves and see which books called to me, and at the time this book called to me, so this is the book that I picked up. So in this we have multiple stories that take place in multiple timelines as well. So we have a story in the past from 1902, which is set in this boarding school where girls were mysteriously dying. Was it normal circumstances? Was it something sinister? Was it more something mundane? Was it something more supernatural? What was causing these deaths within this school? And then there is the modern day story, which is following a camera crew and Hollywood film set which are going to the school to film the events that happened in 1902. And it's sort of these paths not crossing, but like how they interlink and how the haunting may still be going on at this school, and whether it is mundane or whether it is like a supernatural type horror that's going on. And I really like this. I really liked the writing style in this. It is, I'd say, quite slow, but I quite enjoyed that. I will say I think I preferred the first half in this, where it's got this slow build as the creepiness and the horror grow. And there are definitely some scenes where I was like, oh, this is, maybe I should put this book down. It's a bit too late at night for me to read this. I think I'll read this during the day now. So I did enjoy that particular build in the beginning. I do think the ending was satisfactory, but I do think it was a little bit quick in the end after this slow build for it to then just suddenly feel as though it ended. And maybe I would have wanted like an extra chapter potentially on the end to properly wrap things up a little bit, because some things are still a little bit unknown. You still don't quite know what's going on here. So if you are one of those people that doesn't like a open ending, then potentially this won't be for you. But I quite like this sort of, I think I know what's happened, but do I actually know? The questioning of what it is. So I do think it was very well done, because I think that is like the point of the book, that you're still questioning what is going on here. Yeah, I did enjoy both the past and the present timeline. So there wasn't ever a point where I was like, oh, I'm really not enjoying this in the bit in the past, or I'm really not enjoying this bit in the present, so I think that was quite well done, that I did enjoy all of the characters that we focused on and seeing how they were coping with the situations that they were put into. Yeah, I guess overall I would recommend this. I don't think it's like a new favourite or anything. I'm going to give this like a 4 stars, so like I enjoyed it, and I think it probably will stick with me, because there were definitely some scenes that were really well done, but not an all-time new favourite. Okay, and then the final book that I finished in the month of January was At Your Age, Eve Brown. So the third book in the Brown Sister series. So I guess technically I did finish a series, but I've always been counting romances as standalones. This is a very cute romance following Eve, who, after a sort of intervention from her parents, goes out to seek a job at this B&B, where she ends up accidentally running over the owner and then being hired as their chef. And it's her and the owner's interactions and their romance as they come together. And I really liked this one. I'm trying to figure out like my order of enjoyment for the Brown Sister series. I think Chloe Brown's definitely at the bottom, but I think Eve and Danny are pretty much tied in my levels of enjoyment. I wouldn't say it's like an all-time favorite romance. I haven't like adored any of them the way that I have adored like The Love Hypothesis or Emily Henry's books, but I did find it really fun and enjoyable to listen to, and I was really rooting for our 2 main characters to end up together. And it was also really nice to see Danny and Chloe also make an appearance in this as well, and seeing the 3 sisters all come together in the end. So overall, I'm really like satisfied. I was really satisfied with the way it ended, and our two main characters. I really rooted for their romance. I really felt like they were believable, and that's something that's really important for me in a romance, is believing that our 2 main characters are going to end up together and stay together past the events at the end of the book. I did definitely have that feeling with Eve Brown. So those were all the books that I finished in the month of January. So overall, a pretty good reading month, I would say. It was pretty good. I had 2 5 stars, Oathbringer and Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries. So very happy about that. I am currently reading The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. So I think I got about 200 odd pages into this in January, and I'm continuing to read this in February. So if you want my full thoughts on this, then you'll have to wait for my February wrap up. So that's what I'm currently working on. Let me know how your reading in January went. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!